Whoa!
So we just watched the movie Maxxxine by Ty West. It was released this year in 2024. It is the last of his trilogy, starting with Pearl, going on to X, and now ending up with Maxxxine. I did a little spoiler-free review earlier, but now we want to go a little bit deeper, and I want to have a discussion with one of the followers of our channel. We thank him so much for coming on tonight. SpartaChris, it's great to see you on, man.
Thanks for having me on. I am SpartaChris, and I am the defender of the multiverse, defending the multiverse from the insanity that we all live in. So, yes. Woohoo.
Heck yeah, man. This has been a long time in the make. We've been talking about this privately for a while, but just didn't know when the opportunity was going to arise. But I'm glad you came in, man.
I'm happy to be here. It's been a while since I've actually done a video or stream or anything like that. So it's nice to kind of sit back, get back into the seat, and have some fun on with someone else.
Heck yeah, dude. So you were in the watch party last night when we watched this on our Discord. I don't want to plug too much at the beginning, but like join the GCA Discord. This is where we do these watch parties. We hang out, voice chats all the time. But yeah, you were in the watch party last night, and we had some thoughts on it. So we want to go over this, and spoilers are on the table. So if you want to take it off with the first thing that kind of like grabbed your attention, whether you liked it or didn't, go ahead, man.
Well, I just want to say I'm surprised that Darth Vader is Luke's father. Oh wait, hold on, wrong movie. But no, it's like the way that the trailer made this movie seem to be a slasher movie, but it wasn't a slasher movie exactly. So I mean, I will have to say that was a bit disappointing.
Yeah, it wasn't a slasher movie in the slightest.
I mean, you did have like some slasher elements to where you had this mysterious cloaked figure, which it's almost kind of a giallo-ish giallo. So I mean, for those of you that don't know, a giallo movie is kind of what I would say is a proto slasher. It was a Italian horror movies that from the 60s and through the 70s and 80s that the normal trope is you have someone that is going around killing people, and then you have another person going around trying to solve the mystery. So I guess this movie is kind of a giallo-esque in the loosest form of the term.
I've always pronounced them giallo, but tomato. I know what you're going for. So since you brought that up, here's one thing that I wanted to say. It looked like, and I said it in my review without giving details, I think it was drawing from way too many things all at once. It almost looked like Maniac from I think that was 86, whenever that came out. It almost drew things from David Fincher's Zodiac when we talk about the serial killer and you have the people trying to figure it out. It almost took some elements from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the newer release from Quentin Tarantino. I saw all of those influences in it with other stuff too, and I think it was convoluted.
Yeah, there was a lot stuffed into this movie, and one of the things I think that they could have done without was the whole storyline with Kevin Bacon. That could have been dropped, and I don't think it would have affected the movie at all.
I think that actually, so I did kind of hint on this, but I agree with you on that. Not only because I didn't like his accent, like trying way too hard. I feel like he needed suspenders if he was gonna try to put on that accent. It's like someone trying to do John Wayne. But digressing on that, yeah, I kind of feel like his character being there took away from Maxine, the character's agency, because she was kind of helpless without a whole bunch of other people looking out for her when that character was involved.
Yeah, I can understand like the reason why he was there, but I just the whole that plot line could have been just lost, and it would have never affected the movie. I don't know. It would have probably flowed better.
He
No, go
also
ahead.
wasn't explained. He was
Yeah,
a private detective that used to be, I guess, a cop. used to be in law enforcement, and then he proudly proclaims that he does crime now. But in the beginning of the movie, when we're first introduced to him, it was like, hey, I drove you to this place. I found who you wanted me to find, like a PI. And he's like, I don't really want to get more into it unless you're going to throw buku cash at me.
Yeah, and it's more likely that was her father that he was talking to and everything. The father hired him to. That's how I got is that the father hired him to find her, and that's how that whole thing went. Because I mean, that was part of. Yeah.
Go ahead. No, keep on going, man. Spoiler alert!
Yes, spoilers, people. Spoilers. But like the father, that was part of the whole father's plan. The father was a like, I don't know, fire and brimstone style preacher who originally raised his daughter to be like this good church girl before she got wrapped up in the first movie. But and then he I guess he had this whole plan of if he could cleanse the people in Hollywood and the industry, that he could show the evils of the world and I don't know, start this whole revival movement, which apparently did not work because it blew up in his face, literally.
Yeah, I do want to touch on that and talk way more about that. That is the spoiler at the end of the film. But what didn't make sense to me in the whole storytelling is the way that it starts out. She is dancing on a stage. He's filming her, and he's literally telling her, if you want something, say it with authority, go after it with authority. But she's already on stage. Like, I won't be famous. I won't be famous. So you have to say it like you mean it, and then, basically speak it into action. And then when she actually does that, I think what he's actually mad about is that he thought she would go a different route. But it was easiest for a lot of young girls, especially attractive young girls in that time. So she went down the seedy route because it pays a lot of money, or I don't know how much it pays now, but according to them in the script, it pays a lot more money to get screwed on screen, in some back room than it does to try to make it into one of the big pictures.
Yeah, I mean, have all of us not heard about it was an open joke until Weinstein's affairs came out, that what people in Hollywood had to do in order to get onto the big screen. I mean, yeah. So it did pay. It was easier to get into the adult entertainment industry than it was to actually get onto the big silver screen. Unless you were willing to do some stuff behind the screen in order to get there. Which
you wouldn't get paid for.
Yeah, which is kind of funny because, like, another thing for spoilers is at the very end of the movie where she's giving I guess it would be a daydream interview. You know what I'm talking about? The one where she's on the red carpet. She talks about, oh yeah, for all the girls out there that want to succeed in Hollywood, just try your best and don't let go of your dreams and you'll succeed. It's just like, well, you're forgetting about the one thing that a lot of people had to do in order to get into Hollywood, which is the casting couch.
True. And remember what my daddy told me. And then that's when that little sequence cuts off. And then we go to 1 month later where, oh, no, all that's actually happening. So I didn't really understand why they put that in the film. I think that was probably two separate endings to this movie. And he decided to keep them both in because they just say the same thing.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I don't know if she was, before she executed her own father, before she did that, and she was daydream, like I said, I think that it was just a daydream sequence to where she's like, what would happen if I did that? People would love me. I would be walking the big carpet. I would be giving all these interviews. Okay, let's do that.
But she gets it anyway. So, like, they're in the helicopter. Spoiler alert. I mean, we should stop saying that. Everyone knows we've already said things. But so after her father, the cultist, who, by the way, going even back to like her, I don't think he had a problem with her being in films, just what kind of films. He was filming his own film of cleansing these people of Hollywood. You know, the horror actresses, as how we put it. And
well,
he was
one was a horror actress. The others were adult entertainers.
Yeah, true, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, potato, potato, tomato, tomato. Let's call this whole thing off. And he cut off a lot of heads and other parts of the body. But going back to that, I don't think he had a problem with her actually going into film and being in movies. He just didn't want it to be smut. So he was making his own thing. And at the end of the movie, whenever he basically kidnaps his own daughter, ties her up, and tries to get her to confess her sins and like, here, do it on camera. You're an actress, right? And then things go to hell because the cops show up and a lot of people die. And then he is like breathing his last breaths. She finally climbs up to him, and then the helicopter is speaking down on her with spotlights on her saying like, put the gun down, you're fine, don't do it. If she had done that, she still would have been the hero. She chose to shoot him anyway, and she still was the hero. So I don't see why there was any gravitas in that little daydream, or, you know, what decision was there to be, because it didn't matter in the end anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, the cops are there watching her. She executes her own father, and it's just like, what? There's no repercussions for her to killing an unarmed individual who is obviously dying anyways. It's kind of overdoing it.
If they had shown that like she was incarcerated for that because he was clearly incapacitated, bleeding out, and was unarmed, even though the cops had called him back up and everything, that's why they knew to be there. If it was shown that public outcry to release her was the reason why she was out in a month, I could have gotten behind that.
Yeah, could be. That would have probably been an interesting storyline to pass. Instead of having that silly daydream, have that instead, like have news lines flashing across the screen, quick snippets of the news media saying the public outcry for this individual, Maxxxine, has resulted in the governor pardoning her of her crimes for protecting the women of Hollywood from further murders. Which, I mean, the other thing is that, like, going back to the whole thing with them trying to make this sound like it's in the trailers to be in a slasher movie, that you were trying this into the LA stalker, Night Stalker murders. That was, I don't know, that was kind of a little disappointing.
Yeah, and you find out at the end that they were trying to set it up that her dad was the Night Stalker, and then they turned out in the end, it was like, no, this was just a parallel story somewhere else.
Yeah, that was kind of just like, seriously, come on. And also, I just rolled my eyes and just like, serious. I thought it was just so weird that two of her friends were killed by her father, which she did not know it was her father at the time. And when the police came to her, or no, actually, it wasn't just two of them, it was three, because there was also the black man. Shocking, a black man did not survive a horror movie. And she gets confronted by the cops and asked, hey, is there any way that you can help us? Can you help us with this? Can you tell us what happened, or where these people went? Do you know what happened to them? And she basically just said, I'm not helping anyone. Are you serious? Your friends are all being killed around you, and you don't want to help for them.
I think it all went back to now. This is a very flimsy excuse, but I think what Ty would say that her excuse was because of the events of the movie X and how that murder was unsolved, and yet she was the one that she was the final girl in that one, and apparently it looked like some things went wrong. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that movie. But it seems like she's on the run for that. Nobody knows. Nobody can prove anything. Don't talk to the cops. Don't incriminate yourself by reminiscing about it. Just try to shut it out of your brain.
Yeah, but that's also tied in with the Kevin Bacon storyline, plot line, which we kind of already proved that was kind of pointless. There's a lot more that they could have possibly concentrated on in this movie than that whole thing.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. That's why I said it was flimsy at best.
Yeah. I mean,
it didn't make sense. There was a lot of things. There were a lot of motivations that I just, tilted my head at. Just, huh? Really? All right, we're going with that, I guess.
I mean, the only other thing that I can think of that could possibly go with that is she's thinking about herself in the entire situation. How do I better my career? How do I protect myself? How do I me, I? That's the only way I can think of that could possibly justify why she would kind of not care about the people around her because she's thinking only about herself.
I could see that, except she almost lost her daggum big break job because she just wouldn't show up to work.
Yeah, that is true. But I mean, that's part of that. Like the reason why she was pursuing that career is because she was thinking about only herself. How do I better myself? How do I get myself from one industry, the adult entertainment industry, which I just realized I said the alternative phrase for it earlier, so I do say sorry for that, and the big screen is how do I get out of this one and I get myself into a better one. It's all part that self love, that self care.
Yeah, well, it seems to me like that's all she knew.
Yeah, ever since the first movie, that's all she cared about.
Yeah, she had to be looking out for herself because everyone else who had tried to look out for her ended up either leaving her behind or is dead now. So
yeah, and I
it
think
kind of makes sense. But I wish here's what I wish. I wish it would have taken like the horror. Especially if you're gonna put it in the 80s, take that slasher route, but all this little filler stuff, put that focus on like her psychological trauma and why she is acting the way she is. Like you can have the best of both worlds, but instead it wasn't really a slasher and they didn't really focus on her motivations other than me.
No, yeah. I mean, the way that the trailer, the way that the trailer came off to me when I was watching it and everything was, so there's something from the first movie that's coming back to haunt her, which we barely got in the actual movie just through Kevin Bacon's plot line. But again, we've already established that was basically flimsy and pointless, and I feel like that was a huge missed opportunity. Like, what if one of the other people survived and they were coming after her? Or what if, I don't know, some relative of the old couple found out that she's the one that killed them and was coming after her, or something of that nature, and was killing all the people around her to get to her. But none of that happened.
Yeah, a lot of things, a lot of stones left unturned, in my opinion.
A lot of missed opportunities.
While trying to, I feel like he spent so much time on the 80s aesthetic of the movie, sound design, and production value and stuff like that, that I think the script was extremely lacking.
And also you had the I'm Woman, Hear Me Roar director.
True. Yeah, we had Phoebe Waller-Bridge as the female director. That's not who played it, but that was the vibe that she gave off.
Yes.
Snarky cunt.
Yeah, and also I think that director was also projected that whole think about yourself. Uh, Hollywood is a dog eat dog world, so protect yourself. Think about yourself. Do anything to improve yourself. Do anything to that would get you ahead in life. So that was that same mentality.
Now the actress did a great job. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
For what she was given, actually all the actors did a great job for what they were given, rather than Kevin
Yes.
Bacon's accent. But the acting is great. The cinematography, the shots are great. Music, I don't like. Sound design, I didn't like. There was way too much reverb and so many things. And I know it was trying to mimic 80s stuff, but it just got distracting. And that's what pulls me. When I'm pulled out of a movie like this, the camp is no longer fun.
Yeah, that is a kind of a trend that they try to do with 80s style movies today is they basically just have the 80s throw up on the screen.
Where were the windbreakers? Where were the neon windbreakers? I wanted to see those.
Where were the DeLoreans?
For real. They couldn't go over above 40 miles an hour, but where were they? All 800 of them.
Yeah. Oh. I mean, hey, you gotta admit the 80s were a relatively interesting time period. So it's cool to see that aesthetic again. But there's a difference between the 80s that you see on the screen and then like the 80s that people actually lived. Is that this movie was the actors and actresses all did a good job. Kevin Bacon does a pretty good job, minus the quirky Louisianan accent. Which lose it, please. Don't ever repeat it. The storyline, the story could have been a heck of a lot better, but it's a movie that it's okay, but it's not what I'm going to be coming back to for repeat watches.
I agree. Do you have a rating system? Like, do you rate movies or do you just...
So the way that I do is I will do it like out of 5 or out of 10, depending on my mood. But it basically all just ranks up to mid. So about, I don't know. I'll do it at 10. I'll do it at a 10 for now. So basically 5 is my mid ground, where basically it's okay for now. I may watch it again if I'm bored or if I can't find anything else to watch, and it increases from there and to where it's a move to up to 10, to where I love it and I'll watch it whenever I want to, whenever I have time for it. And in the opposite direction, down to 1 is basically I hate this movie, I'm never going to watch it again. So I will place this at a 4.5.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Pretty. Everyone knows my rating system. If you haven't watched the video I did earlier today, or by the time this comes out, yesterday, I rated it a 3 out of 10. I basically use the yourmoviesucks.org rating scale. Every movie starts at a 5 because you did it, you got it done. What makes it better knocks it up. What takes me out of it knocks it down. And then those two just fight the entire film. And then however it ends up at the end, it ended at a 3 for me. And I don't do decimals.
Cool.
So, SpartaChris, man, is there anywhere where we can find you? You have anything to plug?
So I do have my own YouTube channel. So you can find me there. But you'll also find me on Twitter, or X. And then also you'll find me over on my friend Tabletop Junkie Games YouTube channel, where I do tabletop or occasionally some video game plays on his channel. So that's where you'll find me.
Heck yeah. We will drop those links in the description, and yeah, go follow him. He's been a part of our Discord for a long time, man. Like one of our OGs.
Yeah, almost coming up in a year, and by what, like February, I think.
We've only been together for a little over 6 months, but
Okay, yeah.
It may feel longer.
It does feel longer.
When it's every day, you lose track of time. That's how awesome these people are. And dude, I really just want to say once again, thanks for coming out. You are welcome back anytime, and we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
And for you guys out there, let us know what you thought. Do you think that our little nitpicks and the things that we picked apart, did you agree with them? Did you disagree? Do you have other opposing views that you interpret it somewhat differently? Let us know in the comments. But until then, y'all take care.
Peace.